Hi, so today we have here Terrie and Joe. Terrie is a Vortex healing teacher, Terrie Rolands. Hi.
Hi.
And we have Terrie's husband, Joe Rolands.
Hello.
And I wanted to ask you guys, because you obviously, the other one's teacher, the other one's an advanced student. Like, how is this Vortex healing path affecting your relationship?
Good question, Kaiser. Good question.
Thank you for asking.
I was a middle school teacher, so I really have to sit back and put duct tape on my mouth, metaphorically, and let Terrie take that front position and support from behind. How is it affecting you, Terrie?
Yeah, well, one thing is students often assume that having a partner who also does Vortex, that your life is just blissful and always love and always just, kissy kissy, and really it's not real. Joe and I still have arguments, we still have discussions, and we still get angry at each other. But there's a significant difference in what I've learned being in relationship with my husband Joe as a practitioner, is not to take everything so personal. Sometimes when I'm upset and angry, and I'm yelling at Joe, for example, it's not really about Joe. It's my stuff or my emotions that are coming up. And so one of the beautiful things that I've learned in relationship, in Vortex, is not to take everything so personal. Sometimes it could be my stuff bubbling up, and then I need to say, I'm sorry for yelling at you. I'm feeling my emotions coming up from my mother, for example. And other times, if he's acting out in a particular way, I can sense what's going on with him and have the realization that it's his stuff coming up, or processing that him and I are doing for either the earth or our families, or our friends and clients. So often we learn that it's not so personal. It's not about him and I. It's processing that we're doing for ourselves, for our families, for our ancestors, and for the lineage.
Yeah, that's very true. And I want to add another part about avoidance. We've all learned to, think of the positive and don't let that bother you. But there are many things in our systems we learn in Vortex, that this, what we call conditioning, that are held in our systems and that are avoided. And in our relationship a lot, I know, sometimes Terrie's nervousness and the outward symptoms or habits that bother me, bother us, that don't let us to harmonize together, they need to be addressed. And sometimes it requires getting into that avoidance and addressing the avoidance, and then the arguments and the explosion happens. And that, we've learned, is actually a gift. But, even the divine, as we hear psychically, that's a gift. That even brings up more anger, and then that's a gift as well, because of our abandonment from the divine as well. Like, who are you to talk to me? So it's complex, but it's a blessing in a way, and the recovery happens quicker when we're honest with those deep traumas that we all have held from our own parents, seeing our own parents avoid getting into arguments or not knowing how to resolve their own issues. And the beauty of Vortex healing, if you're willing to address your issues, is that yes, they can be resolved, and
It
they
can be
they-
healed, and
Yeah. And the beauty of being, both of us being Vortex healing practitioners, is we have tools to work on. When stuff does come up in our relationship, which it will, in addition to our own personal stuff and our family stuff and our processing, stuff comes up in our relationship field. And Joe and I both have the tools to work with it, to help clear it and reharmonize, as he said. I like to use the idea that a couple that heals together with Vortex healing stays together. Because you learn and you grow together in this path. Yes, stuff comes up, but you have tools to work with it and to process it. And you don't take it as personal. And like Joe said, you recover from the imbalance, you're able to rebalance in a quicker, more efficient, harmonious way.
I think I want to expand a little more on what you're saying about not taking it personal, as personal. What you might mean is that there are certain issues or traumas in the system that are personal, that can be addressed. I mean, many times it is very personal, our relationship. And so I'm correcting you in a way that, well, you do take it personal, but you know that it's the growing process. And to me, that's the most important thing in a relationship. That's an everyday commitment. Every day we renew vows when it comes to us harmonizing and realizing, okay, we're both growing together. We're looking to find love. We don't expect that romantic love, love at first sight.
it's work.
Listen,
Like, it's
kissing.
everyday work. That's a
Right.
good point.
It is.
What about, like, I have this question in my mind that comes to my mind that, when there's a couple where the other one is not doing, like, conscious development on their system, is it like, how have you experienced in your journey that maybe the other one goes, like, faster at some point and the other one is, like, kind of like there's an energetic imbalance between the two? So have you experienced that kind of periods, and how have you resolved them?
Good question. It's important to remember that we're all drops of the divine in this big ocean of life, and that we're all awake at some point. So again, it's that, that judging side of us that's always going, oh, well, you're a teacher, I'm not a teacher, or you've taken so many more hours of class and you're much better. It's always letting that go and going, that stuff doesn't mean anything, and going into the heart and realizing, coming from the divine, going back to the divine, coming from dust, going back to dust. So it's constantly remembering that surrender and that humility there.
Beautiful.
Well said.
Thank you so much for sharing this information and these like beautiful thoughts and your experiences about having a relationship where both people are Vortex healing practitioners.
Well, we're very fortunate to be able to share, because that's what life is about, is it not?
Yeah.
And not to be isolated in our own little worlds.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that life is always easy. We get sick, we have illnesses that come up, we have body stuff that comes up, we have emotional and mental processes that we do, but we have tools that we're able to at least work with it. So we don't have to feel like we're a victim or completely separate. We have a community, we have a connection, and this knowing and strengthening of our relationship with the divine.
Mm-hmm. Even though we are victims, and there's parts of us that have been victims, but what Terri's saying is, all in all, we're not meant to stay there as a victim. That part needs to grow or be exhumed and dusted off and transformed.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.